There is one more thoughts post that I wanted to do today, and I believe that I will do it, but I have to go and change in order for it to be right. So I'll be back, okay? All right. All right, that's a lot better. So, if you have not been able to understand what it is just by seeing what I have on now, I'm gonna go ahead and explain it to y'all. So, I watched the documentary that aired on Netflix. First of all, I got the notification when the trailer came out, and the trailer disturbed me already because I was like, okay, y'all better not bust up out of nowhere saying nothing sideways about this man, because when he was living, I ain't never heard nothing sideways about him. Up until this moment, I ain't never heard nothing sideways about him. So what is we finna do now? Like, what is this finna be? So, like, I really was like, Like, I told everybody who would be under the sound of my voice, bet not nothing pop off on this documentary. That's a foolishness. Okay, y'all. So the name of the documentary, just in case you don't know nothing about it, it is Bob Ross, Happy Accidents, Betrayal, and Greed. It came out, I think, on the 25th of this month. And I saw it, I think, on the 27th because I finally had time, because I was definitely going to watch it as soon as they released it because I live for Bob Ross. Y'all don't understand. For those of y'all who haven't been here and don't understand my love for Bob Ross, when his show would come on, my family already knew what time it was. If I was sharing the TV screen with anybody, they already knew. Oh no, she gotta watch her show on. It don't even matter. Let me halfway forget. Let me take a nap. Let me have the audacity to take a nap. Oh, everybody waking me up in the house. Your show on. Bob Ross on. Everybody already knew what time it was. It was so bad that we eventually got to a point where my parents had a TV in their room, and then we had one in the living room. And like before I moved out, my sister and I were sharing a room because my brother came along. So I went from having my own room and my sister having her own room to her then having to come from in her room to being in my room. I'm tired of my spirit just thinking about it. Yeah, I had to get mad all over again. But she and I eventually had a TV in our room. There was one in the living room, and then there's one in my parents' room. So it was just to the point where, like, as a full grown adult going to college and all of that, like, if I was at the house, the TV in my room had Bob Ross on it. The TV in the living room had Bob Ross on it. And at times, the TV in my parents' room had it on it too. So all three of the TVs had my show on. They already knew what it was. Joy and Painting was going to be on, honey. That's what it was finna be. So, like, I did not play when it came to that. Y'all, I lived for art growing up. Every time there was an art class, I was in it. If there was an elective and it was art, I was gonna be in it 99% of the time. Only two times in my life, three times rather, I ended up choosing something else. One time I did home ec, and I ain't really do that. I already knew I was gonna get 100 or beyond that anyway, because I already knew how to cook and bake. It was just like, I ain't got nothing really to do because I'm senior status, like whatever. And I took a sewing class two times because I love sewing as well. So yeah, any other time, always art classes. I loved to draw, loved drawing. I don't draw anymore, but yeah. Bob Ross though, like I have never been good at painting, ever, never, never, ever, never. I have done so many different variations of art. We have done etching. We have done plates from scratch where we actually had to put gloss on it and put it in a kiln and all of that stuff in order to cure it. Um, we've done water painting and oil based painting and chalk drawings. We have done certain things where I had to use my actual fingers to paint and draw with. Um, so many different ways to actually portray art throughout my life. Yeah, y'all. I was very into it. Bob Ross took that to a whole nother level. When I first saw one of his programs, I was so captivated. I just did not understand. I have a cousin who she is amazing at painting and using chalk. I was okay with chalks and like the oil based chalks and all that stuff. I was okay. I was okay with that. But painting, I don't know what it was. I ain't never been good at painting. But whenever I saw Bob Ross do it, he made it look like it was so easy. Y'all, one year for Christmas, I asked my parents. I said, I want paint. I want paintbrushes. I want an easel. I want all of that. I need a sketchbook. I want all of these things. And y'all don't understand. Like, I wanted the bicycles. I wanted the shoes. I wanted everything. But I made sure to make a list. And I told her, if you don't get nothing else on this list, at the time, I wanted watercolor paints where all I had to do was add a little water to the palette and it already had the paint in there or whatever. And that's all I had to do. And like the brushes and stuff that went with it. I literally had like my own this big sketchbook that had its own little, like, y'all, my parents set it off that year. We were poor. My daddy was the working poor. And I was so happy on Christmas Day. Like, I could not. Y'all, I set it up in the living room area. I remember that like it was yesterday. I still don't know how to paint, but I got my entire life that day. So, y'all, like I was saying, when I used to watch Bob Ross paint, he would make you feel like you could do it too. It looked so easy. It looked so easy, y'all. It took everything in me every single time they would post the number that you could call or whatever it was at the time to get the paints and all that stuff and the different tapes. Y'all, it took everything in me. Especially when I became of age and I had my own cards. I have still been tempted ever since even before this aired. Oh, I was still tempted to buy it. I was like, you know what? A lot of time has passed and I might need to buy some of that stuff. Y'all, in a sense, I'm kind of glad I didn't. But yeah, we're going to get into that. So, y'all, I'm watching this documentary. So after I get over the first shock, spoiler alert, Bob Ross ended up, partnering up with these people called I think their last name is Kowalski's. Y'all know I have a way that I speak and it's just terrible. I'm country. It just is what it is. I don't know how to pronounce them people's last name like that, but yeah, Kowalski, I think is their last name. And the wife in this documentary was allegedly sleeping with Bob Ross. And she had a whole husband. He had a whole wife. But when they interviewed certain people, they were like speaking in a way like, oh, it's common for people to sleep together. Everybody was sleeping with everybody back then. So what? They really said it very, very cavalier as if it was nothing. And I was just like, what is going on here? What is going on here? So, and I mean, I've heard that before, just in general about times like that. I get it, but I was just like, oh, okay. All right. And it's crazy because if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, the Kowalskis, are denying that ever was a situation that happened. So anyway, they didn't want to, just for future reference, they didn't want to have anything to do with this documentary, as they were actually trying to secure people to do interviews. A lot of people declined to do interviews because the Kowalskis are very infamous for suing people and winning because they had so much money. Speaking of them having so much money, I'm very angry because these people to this day, to this day are profiting off of Bob Ross. And they make millions, and they are very, very greedy. And it's just to a point where it's like, I understand you want money. I understand the love of money is the root of all evil. And from what I saw unfold in this documentary, these people are pure evil. These people might be the spawn of Satan at this point. I'm just saying. Um, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I can't. I'm trying not to just start spewing off the stuff that was revealed just yet, because it's making me, I'm literally like getting a headache just thinking about the stuff that came out. So yeah, y'all. So after we got past that, um he was with somebody, and the relationship didn't work out between Bob Ross and his son's mama. Okay. Well, he ended up eventually getting with somebody else later on in life, and everything was going well with her apparently, and she ended up getting cancer, and not long after that she passed away. He did not take that well, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when I tell y'all, as this, I mean, you would think that the alleged adultery that was going on was like probably the worst of it all. It's really not. Like, y'all, it's like I don't even know where to start, y'all. Like, it was just so much going on. Okay, so the son would make appearances on the show from time to time, and Bob Ross would like really speak so highly of him, as if his son could like paint mountains better than him, and that he was the best mountain painter and all this other stuff. He made it seem like he wasn't that great of a drawer, but he was awesome at painting. That was very interesting to me. Yeah. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen the programs, The Joy of Painting, but there would be times that he would use like paint thinner and all this other stuff. And when he would use it, he would like get it out by like busting it up against stuff, the different parts of in the room. And yeah, he ended up getting cancer. And I'm not sure if he was ever a smoker or anything, but one of the people that actually did one of the interviews, he said that he feels like that was a large contributor as to why he ended up actually getting cancer. Um, the type of cancer that he had was the type that I usually hear people who have been smoking and all that stuff get. But it really wouldn't surprise me if that had a really big impact, because that type of stuff that he was using up in there, like paint thinners and all that stuff, he was never like wearing masks. And you know that a lot of people, just when you are painting in a house, you need ventilation and all this other stuff. I don't think that the ventilation was that great where he was doing all of this magic and making all of these happy little accidents from time to time and all of that. I'm just saying, like, where all the magic was going down, I don't think the ventilation was that great. I don't think they was propping doors and windows open all the time. And so he was the one who was the closest to all of that. It was right there. Wasn't even 6 feet. Probably wasn't even 3 feet. Probably maybe 1, 2 feet of that away from him when he was doing that. And then like when he would reach down into it. So the thing, usually if I'm not mistaken, the thing was open all the time. So even after he would like knock all of the excess off of the brush, there's some that's flying in the air just from off of the brush and out of the container that it was in, y'all. So he ends up getting cancer. But before we get all the way into him having cancer, y'all, let's just go back a little bit. Y'all, it's taking everything in me because, like I told y'all, I live for Bob Ross. Okay, so the Kowalskis, They got into business with him. They were partnered up with him. He ended up having his TV show. And it was crazy because when he first came on the scene, like I think before the TV show came, he was trying to do like workshops. And there were so few people, if any, that were going to show up to the first workshop that it ended up getting canceled. Stuff started getting canceled. Well, nobody here for him because they didn't know him like that. They knew of other people, they didn't know about him. Well, once the syndication and all that stuff eventually started happening and he was actually doing the stuff on PBS, people were coming to workshops like crazy. Whenever he did any type of events in parks and wherever else, people showed up in droves. The people was driving from all over to see this man because he is everything. He was everything. Oh, Lord, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to try to lighten the mood for a minute by saying this. I'm trying to understand why his son we thought that his hair was natural like that. I could have swore that we already knew that he had a perm, and that's why his hair was looking like it was a fro. But something sad that we end up finding out, which I guess is, more than likely to be expected, is when he ended up getting cancer, he started losing his hair and he eventually became bald. And it was to the point where he was still trying to complete all of his contractual obligations. And so he ended up wearing a wig that looked like an afro. And people were saying it looked kind of bad. It didn't look that great. You could tell it didn't look like him. And the Kowalskis did not like the way that he appeared because you could actually tell that he looked sick. But Bob wanted to still do work. He was sitting up there doing 3+ shows a day because that's how into painting he was. It was so bad that he seemed to love painting more than he loved the women that he was married to and with, allegedly, having sex with them. So I was just like, wow, like, that was crazy. But he wanted to pass a legacy down to his son. And he made a point to like always try to have his son to come on the show. And something that I did not know is that Bob Ross, the way that he speaks, first of all, the name of the show is y'all, what's wrong with me? Why I can't think of the name of the show at the moment? Irritating me. The Joy of Painting. So it makes sense that I'm an adult now. So I was like, wait a minute. Y'all, The Joy of Painting. It was somewhat of like a play on like these erotic types of situations and TV shows and books and stuff like that. It's usually the joy of sex or the joy of this, some sort of intimate situation. And the way he would speak, he knew that like his largest audience would be women. So why would you be harsh and speaking to us? Speak to us in a way that we want to hear. Like you need to, what they say, talk nice to me. Talk nice to me. And that's what he would do. And that's why he spoke the way he spoke. Because the person that he admired and he saw that he wanted to emulate, they were from like Germany or somewhere else. And they were very boisterous. And they were just very, 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 very loud. And it was just too much. But that's kind of what comes with the territory. So it's like, I mean, I kind of wouldn't expect anything less, but go off though. But he was just like, I want to be the complete opposite. And so he made a point to speak that way. And they named it that on purpose. And I'm just like, wow. Like, so far, the only thing that was not a surprise to me was that he had a perm. And I was like, I thought that was common knowledge. All right. Y'all, when he acquired the show, they ended up doing the Kowalskis, if I'm not mistaken. They ended up doing deals for paint and brushes and all this other stuff. And everything was all about Bob Ross. It had his face on it, his likeness, all of that, his name. Y'all, it was just a lot. I'm trying to calm myself down because it that documentary is like, as it started to get towards the end, it just made me more and more angry because the Kowalskis are trash. They are demons. They really have to be like the spawn of Satan. I'm sorry, I just can't. So a lot was going on, and like I told y'all before, this woman passed away. The wife that he had passed away. Not old boy, not Bob Ross's son's mama. Now, if I'm not mistaken, y'all, the next person that he ended up marrying, she ended up getting cancer and she passed away. Then, not long after that, he ended up finding out that he had cancer, and we was just like, what? So he ended up telling, people were brought in and they were told this information, and they were just like, wait a minute, like, of all people, why? Like him? Like, nobody is really trying to believe that him, of all people, has cancer and is like on his way up out of here. Y'all, he ended up being so sick that like he was like 85 pounds. There are people who he was very close to, who he had developed these friendships with and all that, who did not even know this man passed away. They did not know. Since they didn't know he didn't pass, since they didn't know that he had passed away, of course they didn't know nothing about a funeral. So they end up finding out, just like the rest of us, that this man passed away in the newspaper and news broadcast saying something about it. And people are like really looking like, okay, why was I not invited? Why was I not told that this is what happened? Y'all, so before this man passed away, he started, to look bad, and you could tell he was sick. You could literally look at him and tell that he was sick, and the Kowalskis was not here for it. And he actually did another little TV show because he always wanted to do a TV show that was like showing kids how to paint, and like it was a really, really cute show, y'all. It was a really cute show. I don't forget what the name of it is. But of course, since he ended up, getting sick, it didn't last very long. And like I said, he ended up having to wear a wig, and like people were saying that the wig didn't look good. So yeah. The Kowalskis were not here for him being sick. He was their cash cow. And they started, first of all, there were too many red flags as it was for me. Like all throughout this documentary, I was already tired. Like one of the main red flags was, I think that these were the people who were doing it. But whenever they would have conversations with people on the telephone, they would have it where they could, record their conversations. Like they were always, I don't know what happened to them before they met Bob Ross and had any affiliations and started making money, but some people must have screwed them over royally for them to sit up there and have a special way to record that. And I'm talking about, this is back in the day. Y'all do know that The Joy of Painting came out like a year before I was born. I was born in 1984. If I'm not mistaken, this started in 1983. So he actually had some stuff that he was trying to do before that. So when they were in talks and all this other stuff, anytime they were having good conversations with people, trying to have these relationships with the painting companies. Like they had a specific paint company they were working with, brushes, all this other stuff. Y'all, it was a lot. And these people was recording folks. So they always have their evidence. If you want to go up against them, you might as well prepare to lose. So most people, they would rather just say, you know what, I'm going to be quiet. I'm not even going to come forward. A lot of people would not even come forward and be a part of this process to expose what they knew about these folks and their terrible practices and how they treated Bob Ross out of fear of these people shutting them down by suing them, because they already knew that the lawyers' fees and all that stuff alone would probably eat them up. So anyway, y'all, Bob Ross was really, really sick. And like I said, he ended up passing away. Most people didn't notice. That is so sad. Like people who really were there for him, who really were friends with him. This one man, he ended up finding out. And he was like, he sat there, he really was on the phone with Bob Ross and was talking to him. And Bob Ross was like, no, I want you to remember me, how you saw me last. And he told him that at that moment, he was 85 pounds. Y'all, I would have been done. And like not long after that, that's when he passed away. Like I can't, like I was so tired in my spirit, y'all. So like I told y'all, Bob Ross passed away. The Kowalskis are trash. They sat up there and was like, before Bob Ross passed away, he was still going all the way through. The Kowalskis found out that he was sick, and they found out how sick he really was and that it wasn't looking good. They started trying to do underhanded stuff. They was trying to bring contracts to him and was like, oh, well, we just want to make sure everything is going to be all right with your son. We need you to sign this over and do this, that, and the other. And Bob already knew it was some foolishness. So he was like, nah, what we're not going to do is this. So he has a half brother and his son. And his wife ended up having a portion as well. Now, while Bob Ross was in the process of passing away, I don't know when he met this woman. He ended up marrying a whole nother person before he passed away. So this woman had a percentage in the company, or whatever you want to say. Like she had some rights. The son had like 49%, and his stepbrother had like 51%. Or whatever, and they had this major say. Y'all, tell me why the wife and his stepbrother, the Bob Ross's stepbrother, they didn't want no issues with the Kowalskis, and they ended up signing over this stuff to them. So now, instead of them being the majority owners of Bob Ross, they just sat up there and gave it to the Kowalskis, and now they doing the most. Y'all, I was so tired in my spirit, y'all. Y'all see this shirt? And they make so much stuff, y'all. I ended up buying these joggers. These are some Bob Ross joggers that I bought last year, the year before last. I have not even worn them yet. I love Bob Ross. As soon as I saw them in the store, I snatched them up. Because at first I was like, oh, I'll come get them the next time I'm in here. Even though I was going to be in there later on that week, I said, I don't even want a chance, and let me get them now. I haven't even worn these yet. I have stuff in carts on several sites that are Bob Ross. Like, I live for Bob Ross for real. So, y'all, these people to this day still get millions of dollars off of this man's name. His son cannot lay claim to none of that. His son went into this really, really deep depression. He went off into seclusion and all of this. Somebody who was heavily affiliated with Bob Ross came to him one day and was like, you can't live your life like this. Your daddy wouldn't have wanted you to live your life like this. Like, he ended up picking up a paintbrush again. And him and this other person, they now teach painting classes. And they're getting through. They making do. And it's just to the point where ain't nothing they can really do. The Kowalskis out here doing what they're doing, getting the money, but they are very, very terrible people from what I can gather from this documentary. I'm not here for it. Like, they really set up that this man was literally on his deathbed and he was weak, and he still could tell that they tried so many different times to get Bob Ross to sign stuff over to them. I was just like, come on now, you know you wrong, y'all. I can't. I can't even talk about it anymore. Like, it just made me so upset. It made me so upset. And then it took years upon years. Like, one of the people, they tried to sue these people, but they had to come up with like $92,000 just to go to court with these folks, but they couldn't. And just because they couldn't come up with the money for that, they instantly ended up basically losing. Like, it's just too much. Like, look, the Lord gonna get the last laugh after it's all said and done. The son might get the last laugh after it's all said and done. Like, you can't win when you're playing dirty. Like, these people that made millions off this man's name. It was to the point where, y'all, this is one part. I'm sorry that I made this long, but I live for Bob Ross. I can't. These people set it off so bad that there was this woman who, and I if I'm not mistaken, I've seen her program before. She does like flowers and all that other stuff. Now, that's something that I am pretty good at. I can like kind of like do certain flowers. And she was painting these flowers and all this other stuff. This other woman took her exact like everything, her model. She had a book or a pamphlet or something. She went through all this lady's stuff, did every single thing this woman did. This woman was in a certain type of chair and took a picture. That heifer got the same chair, took the same type of picture. I was just like, she ended up getting the exact same brushes made by the exact same people. These people went to the length of lying, talking about, oh, Bob Ross didn't want this type of brush, so you can't use this animal is on the endangered species list because of the bristles that you are using, so we're gonna discontinue using this. Y'all, they lied. Them people did the most and lied about that and ended up getting it, and they secured all of that for themselves. And these people still sell the paint brushes, they still sell the paint, they still sell his tapes and all this stuff. I don't know if they didn't convert it to DVDs and other forms that you can watch now. But yeah, these people still getting money up off of this man's name. His own family can't even lay claim to that stuff. That is trash. I cannot, y'all. That tore my nerves all the way down. Like, it was just too much. Like, if you have ever been a fan of Bob Ross, I think you should check it out. It is very interesting. Like, it's a whole lot of dark stuff going on up in there. I was so exhausted. Anyway, y'all, thank you for hanging in there and watching me ramble on about this. I live for Bob Ross, as you can see. Anyway, y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all later.